Let's talk about the worst deal we didn't buy and why we didn't buy it. So I'm going to tell you about the nightmare Fourplex that I was under contract on, like wired over the EMD, was excited about buying, but I ran out of that building. I was in the car. I'm like, I'm out of here. So let's break it down. So again, you guys can learn from our experience. If you're new here, welcome. Tony Steffen.
And Andrea Steffen.
We own 258 units. We also own a real estate brokerage. We document our journey going to 1,000 units of real estate to help you in your journey, no matter where you're at. So let's talk about this property. There were multiple things wrong with this. Was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's really when we started, I think.
I was big into fourplexes. It's like, okay, so it's a residential loan. This was before DSCR loans, though. 30-year fixed rate debt, 30-year mortgage, 30-year amortization, 4 units. It's kind of like a win. It felt big at that time. I think we had the other 4 unit.
Yeah, well, we were going from single family, so like 1, and then we're like, we'll go to a duplex, and what's next? So then we really we're stuck on 4 units.
Fourplexes are great. They're hard to find, though.
They are.
Now this one, the minute we walked in, we kind of knew there were some things off. And this is where it's like, man, if you're a real estate agent, always be transparent about your listing.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think you're going to upset more people when they get there and it's not as advertised. So the first thing is, with our inspectors, Dan. Yeah. Shout out Dan, Total House Inspection. We go under and we look at the foundation first. There were like logs.
But there was something before that. Do you remember that?
Well, we went inside first and the entire thing was like slanted.
Right. He's like, do you see the floor? It's slanting down.
I think he put like a marble and it like rolled down.
Right.
There were logs here. So this was built in 1890.
Something like that, yeah.
Why were there logs and what did he say about that?
It was built such a long time ago. That's how they built homes back then.
1890, we're looking at buying this in 2023. That's over 100 years old. Like you've seen older homes. What are some of the risks with people buying older homes?
I mean, you just have to be aware of the structure of the home, how it was built back then, and how much cost is going to go into repair something like that.
I remember he's like, I've never seen termites before.
Yeah, so that was the first time he had seen, because there's not really termites in Michigan, that he saw evidence of termites. This was in the winter. He's like, I see evidence of termites. He's like, that's not a good sign.
So I wasn't done then. Were you done then?
I don't think we were done yet, but we were getting there.
He's like, if we walk away now, give me $100, we all walk away. Yeah. And we're like, no, let's go see it. Because it was like a bidding war to get this property.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And what I always tell you guys, I'm not afraid to overpay to get a property and get a good deal. I think it's hard for people once they start to spend money to walk away.
Yeah, and we had already done the EMD.
Yep.
We already started to pay for the home inspection. So we were already bought in, and it was a really good area. So that was the other thing. Yep.
Yeah. Again, we're sharing this so you guys can learn. You're bought in, don't walk away yet, but we already starting to see red flags. Foundation issues, now knowing what I know, I will not mess with.
Right.
You have to have specialty. You have to have specialists to be able to fix that. Very, very costly red flags. Foundation issues. Anything else you would tell them to walk away from if they see?
Again, I wouldn't necessarily say it's also like your business plan, what you're comfortable with, but that's a big one. Foundation and then sewer lines. Those are another big one. So if you're out there and you're like, I don't want to pay for a home inspection, I'd never advise that. But if you're like, I just want to check on the major things you can't really see, foundation and sewer line.
Love that. Things you can't see. It's like dating women.
Yeah. Same thing.
Beauty you can see, but what's underneath the beauty, that's what you can't see. That will hurt you the most, right? All right, so we start walking the units. When you buy a property, you have to walk every single unit. Now, I'm not gonna lie. As they get bigger, it gets worse. Yeah. Walking 100 units when we bought Golf View, not fun. I hired a manager who wasn't in the best physical condition.
Yes.
About 10 units in, she was bending over,
a little tired,
huffing and puffing. So you gotta walk all the units. You gotta visibly inspect all the units because it's the unit they don't wanna show you that you need to see the most, right? We walked the first 3 units. It's a little weird. There was like a dog and the dog was barking a lot. I'm like, okay, whatever. Then we get to this last unit. I'm not embellishing when I say this because I am a healthcare professional as a registered dietitian. There was excrement. Poor gentleman had like a mental disorder.
He did, yeah.
There were feces on the walls. The bathroom was like bombed. I mean, like the toilet was like black.
Yeah.
It was totally.
And that's just what we could see too.
We walked in and pretty much walked out.
And that one too, see, that was a unit. It was 2 units upstairs and one kind of to the corner. And this one was just an odd unit in general.
Yeah.
So it's like they left that one to the end and kind of like, oh, I'm not sure if we can get into that one.
Yeah. Remember that? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know if he's home.
No, he was home. He was home, smearing his feces on the wall. We bailed out of that.
We did, yeah.
We walked out, got in our car. This is when you weren't even, were you an agent?
No, this one, I mean, like I said, this was one of our first or second more than one unit.
Okay.
So we were really just getting into it.
Yeah. I called my agent. I told him, I'm like, there's poop everywhere, Meredith. I can't. She's like, all right, let's go. Then we had the sewer line come coming.
Yep.
So I didn't want to lose more money because
Right.
I've already lost money now. I told Dan, I'm like, I'm out of here, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm not freaking doing this. And I tell them like, we're going to pass. They're like, no counter? No. I'm like, no, dude, the counter is get the feces out of here. What can you learn from this lesson? Because this was the question that we got. It's like, tell me about a property you didn't purchase and why. So number one, the beautiful thing about real estate, like I was just complaining about meta stock. Later today, I'm interviewing my mentor. It's going to be probably one of the best videos I do on our channel. And he really pushed me. He said, I know you're big on real estate, but you also have to get your money to work better for you. So I took our money out of a money market and been investing in stocks, specifically Meta. I thought I had a gut feeling to sell it at this price and made a couple dollars, but then it shot up another $5 a share and we had 900 shares. So we could have made a couple extra $1,000. The stock market, how do you get a gut feeling? I don't know. I watch it. Cryptocurrency, how do you get a gut feeling? Real estate, you can get a gut feeling. You can walk it. You can feel it. You can smell it. We had a gut feeling. And why we've, knock on wood, never lost money in real estate because we trust our gut. And I want you guys to trust your gut and go with a gut feeling. If you walk a property, and you can confirm this because you've worked with way more investors. You have said I'm your worst client.
You are, yeah, quite difficult.
Not difficult, Andrea. I have high standards.
Challenging.
I have irrefutable standards I refuse to lower. When you get a gut feeling, go with your gut. If your gut says don't do the deal, don't do the deal.
And one thing too, I always tell clients to do, especially once you're getting to investment properties, go drive in the area. I just talked to a client about doing this. We got some of the financials back, had some questions on it. He's like, not sure about the area, heard mixed reviews about it. I was like, just go drive it. Like, you're gonna know once you drive by it. Because that's the one thing, point being said of that we backed away from a deal. We also don't wanna waste an agent's time. So that was not disclosed to us. It was disclosed like, hey, you're collecting $700 a month or whatever it was from this unit. You might have been, but when you go to turn that unit, how much is it gonna be? So if that would have been disclosed from the beginning, we probably wouldn't have even done it from the get-go.
You make such a great point there, and this is where it's a negotiation. If they don't disclose things to you, you have the right to renegotiate and you have the right to back out. No, that was not disclosed to me that, hey, there's someone here with mental health disorder, and I'm not making light of that. I think that was a very sad situation. Real estate exposes you to some very sad situations. That person should not have been there. That person needed medical help. Like Andrea said, if that person then was moved out, we're looking at $20,000 easy for that. So when you make your initial offer, you're not factoring in, you're factoring I might have to spend a couple grand to turn a unit, not $20,000. So if you're selling a property, disclose that. If not, that's a negotiation tool. Go with your gut. Get a gut feeling, go with it. Drive the area. Drive it at night, drive it at weekends. How many times before we buy a deal do we drive the property?
Yeah, even if we're interested in it, not even like it's on the market or we just start talking about, we start driving the areas so that we're familiar with it.
Big thing, and we've shown this on the channel. On weekends, we'll go drive around, look at real estate. Even here, when we're in California right now for the winter, we drive around, we look at real estate. Remember, we were in Corona Del Mar, you're like, oh, look at this house. If you love real estate, you gotta go look at it. People ask, like, what's the best book? What's the best book? Best book is getting off your butt and go looking at real estate and understanding that. So I love that. So get a gut feeling. Cost of doing business. So many people in losing money, right? But walking away.
Yeah.
So many people are afraid of spending money.
I get it to a point, but you have to do it because if we didn't spend the money to do that, then like you said, $20,000. I've had clients that when you get to multifamily, there's environmental, and some lenders don't require that. But again, you don't have to, but I always advise, like, this is your chance. Like, spend the $2,000 that it is for this study, and then you're gonna know in the future, like, there's nothing wrong with the property, or there is, and I can renegotiate or back out.
It's a cost of doing business.
Right.
Real estate, there is costs associated with doing it. And there's costs associated to doing your due diligence and protecting your butt. Due diligence is your time frame to essentially say, am I doing this deal or not? You'll never have all the facts. You'll never have all the information. Due diligence is about uncovering as much of the information as you can so you can make an informed decision. The stock market is like a casino. It truly feels like gambling. It really does. I don't want to say there's very little logic, but it seems so illogical. Real estate is very fact driven. It's very factual. It's hard to get like emotional about property, but people can. But it's very fact driven. So you're doing your due diligence. Don't be afraid to cost money. Don't be afraid to spend money when you're going through it. I think the final tip that we want to share here to help people is walk away from unsolvable problems or problems you're not willing to deal with. You make your money in business by solving problems and embracing problems. On the way here, we were on the phone with a team member dealing with problems. We've learned in our life, the bigger the enterprise you want to build, the bigger the empire you want to build, the more money you make, the more money you want to make, the bigger problems you have to be willing to solve, right? You're looking for solvable problems. And this is a framework I learned from a billionaire. I've been studying a lot of billionaires recently. Don't take advice from people in your sphere who are doing about what you're doing. You need to take advice from people ahead of you, because when you take their advice, you get their life. I wouldn't mind a billionaire's life, so I take advice from them. So really, there's 4 types of opportunities I've learned from this billionaire. And he said there's 4 types of like scenarios, right? First one is a small upside, but small problems. So it's more like a turnkey property.
Right.
If your goal is to make a lot of money, you don't want to buy a turnkey
No.
property. This was essentially the first few deals we bought, like the first houses we bought. There was no major upside.
No, very easy areas to buy into. Nothing really wrong with properties, easy tenants.
Yep.
So.
And when we sold those, we made a little bit of money, but it was nothing like life-changing.
Right.
We're not like, oh my God.
Right.
The next level is big opportunity, small headaches, small problems. He said those don't exist. But this is what everyone's looking for.
That's what everyone wants.
I want the 50 unit with no headaches, but it's worth 8 million and I'm gonna pay 4 million for it.
Right.
That doesn't exist.
No.
Would you say 95% of the people who reach out to you want to invest in real estate get stuck looking for that?
Yeah, that's what they want.
Yep. They want this massive upside with little risk and little headaches. It doesn't exist. Don't waste your time looking for it. This is verbatim from that billionaire. Because he does M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Like, doesn't exist. Next one is small upside, but tons of headaches. Avoid that. Why would you take on tons of headaches for a small reward?
Right, doesn't make sense.
It just doesn't make sense, because if you're gonna solve big problems, you might as well be
You
a big
wanna
reward.
get paid for it.
Which leads to the last opportunity, which is a big upside, big problems, but solvable problems. And you were mentioning like people with a construction background versus people like us. It's about your skill set. What's a solvable problem to you? People with a construction background might be able to tackle different projects.
Right. Yeah, they'll see a big project and they'll say, I can do that at cost, or I'm doing it myself, so it's not going to cost me that much to do it, so then they can solve that problem. Or like for us, we look at more like the financial, the business side of it. That's a problem that we can solve.
Yes. Like our 100 unit when we took over, there was nothing construction-wise or unit turn-wise that we had to do. It was a management problem. It was our bread and butter. We said we could solve this. If someone was more like a construction person and a flipper and a unit turner, but poor on management side, they're not going to take that problem. So you're looking for big problems that can be solved, because that's where the money is made. That is the opportunity. This deal had big problems that we could not solve.
Right, they weren't for us.
They weren't for us, so we passed on the deal. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for good upside, solvable problems. Don't run from problems. Really, what I want you to learn from this is don't run from problems, but be educated, be aware, know yourself, know what you're able to conquer and be successful with, and seek out problems. Problems in business are opportunities to make money.
Yeah. I think like one example that I had, it was a 4-unit one of my clients bought. We got under contract and we didn't know the roof was in the condition it was in. It really worried him because that's a big expense and the sellers didn't really want to come down. We ended up he still went through with the property. He actually works for a roofing company, solar roofing company. So after that, he's like, you know what? Actually, that turned out the best because now I get tax benefits. I'm doing a solar roof, and he's actually making more than expected. But at first, he was really worried about purchasing that property because it was a big expense, but that was really his strong suit, and he didn't even really realize it.
Love that. You're seeking problems. Don't run from problems. If you want to buy businesses like real estate, it's all about solving problems. Like our 56 unit, those roofs had to go. That was a great solvable problem for us, right? We solved that problem now. Now that building's worth a lot more. So that was a deal we passed on in explaining why, and hopefully we gave some insights and opportunities for you to learn from our experience. Was this helpful? Comment below. Again, we like to take your guys' direct questions and go and make content out there to help you succeed. So if you have a question about real estate investing, leave a comment below. So I want you to grab some free resources. Number one, we did a full 1-day mastermind. I'll give you my full 1-hour talk on the BRRRR strategy, how we took a 7-unit deal, paid $660 for it, a year later priced for $1 million, made $250,000 tax-free. Grab my book, The New Rules to Financial Freedom, sells for $19 on Amazon. You can get it for free. Also grab my due diligence multifamily checklist, exactly what we look for when we're under contract on a deal. If they want to learn more about the Stephan Group Real Estate Brokerage, potentially using you and our agents to buy and invest in real estate, where should they go?
So you can go to our website at stephangrouprealestate.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at AndreaStephan.
Hit her up in the DMs, let her know what your goals are. And finally, if you're looking for one-on-one support, one-on-one coaching, one-on-one mentorship, and you need a little bit more hand-holding in your journey, click the link below in the description here to learn more about my coaching program. See if you'd be a good fit. Love to get on a call with you, learn more about your goals, see if there's any way we can add value to you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Thanks.